Well, to say he's embattled is an understatement. The Pistons' troubles extend beyond head coach John Kuester's issues with his players. This has become a dysfunctional team, and some of the players seem intent on undermining the head coach.
And that spectacle that took place yesterday is being talked about all around the league. Tom Lydon is here and has the questions on what's next.
This has made Pistons fans very angry.
Yeah.
Bottom line, they are not happy with what they're seeing, and I think a lot of fans think it is one of the darkest and most embarrassing days in the history of this very proud franchise. After 7 players missed the morning shoot-around, the Pistons go to battle with the 6 who showed up. And that's it. Everyone else sat on the bench. Here they are. John Kuester glued them to the pine in Philadelphia. But John didn't hang around long enough to see the whole thing through himself. You could just feel the tension boiling over. Kuester ejected late in the second quarter of the game, said after the game, of all the games I've ever coached, this is the last one I wanted to get tossed from. And then another ugly aspect, the Pistons players laughing on the bench as Kuester walks off the court. They say they were laughing about something else, but I don't know. So here we go. Pistons back home tonight for a game against Utah at the Palace. That's where we find our sports director, Don Shane, with the latest on this debacle. Don.
All right, Tom, let's start with some bullet points. First of all, Joe Dumars was supposed to release a statement about all this earlier today. He has decided against that. It's an internal matter, he says, and he's not going to release a statement, and that's the way Joe's always handled his business. Secondly, everybody is available to play today. It isn't like 6 guys are going to play. They dealt with this situation today, and guys will be in uniform and available for Coach John Kuester to play. Now let's talk specifically a little bit about Kuester and his situation. Is he going to be fired? Because that's on everybody's mind. Well, I thought he might be, but now that he hasn't been fired as of yet today, certainly, I think with only 22 games remaining in the season and the uncertainty surrounding the ownership, that he will survive the rest of the season. Excuses-wise, from the guys that didn't show up at the shoot-around yesterday, a couple of them are legitimate, I'm told by Piston sources, that Tayshaun had flu-like symptoms, and so therefore he wasn't there, and McGrady had a headache, therefore he wasn't there, and we're sorry to report that Ben Wallace wasn't there because his brother passed away, so Ben will not be active and playing obviously here again tonight. Now, the other guys who were involved are going to be fined, probably by Joe Dumars. That's the way he'll take care of things. Let's deal with Rip Hamilton in that situation. A report on Yahoo Sports today says that Rip got into a knockdown, drag-out argument with head coach John Kuester at practice a little while ago. Well, the sources that I've talked to out here today say that is accurate, and that may have been the beginning of the bad relationship between Rip and John Kuester. That is the situation from the Palace right now. As I said, everybody is available to play in tonight's game against the Utah Jazz, except for Ben, whose brother passed away. We'll have more in sports. I'm Don Shane, live in the Palace. Tom, back to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Don. Just a really ugly scene, and I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed in the way Joe Dumars has handled this. I think this fell on his shoulders, and he needed to step up today and appease the fan base and let them know that this is unacceptable and it's not going to be dealt with. It was made public last night by the fact that 6 guys played in that game.
Right.
So calling it an internal matter just isn't going to fly with the fans.
Well, and it's a professional situation, and everybody here is adults, and that's the way I believe you should conduct yourself at all times.
Well, and unfortunately, those players didn't act professional and have not, in many cases, acted professional this season. That's why it's a mess.
To say the least.
Yeah, right, Tom. Thanks.